returning to the series that I started to share with you last October and November before we went into the holiday season and the talks there, and also the talks that I gave through the Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. The series that I started last year was called The Nature of Being. And just to remind you the parts we talked about, first of all, we talked about faith. We discovered that the universe is a spiritual system, and its laws are those of intelligence. We also looked at how prayer, faith, and belief were closely related mental attitudes. Faith is an activity of the mind that finds its highest expression in the spiritual attitude. Remember the quote from the Bible? Faith is the substance of all things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Very powerful imagery for that. Then we talked about prayer. Prayer is essential in our lives, not for the salvation of the soul, because the soul is never lost, but to the conscious well-being of the soul that does not understand itself at times. We then talked about mind, the greatest discovery, and understood that the first great discovery that man made was that he could think. That was the day when he first said, I am, which is the power of God. A personal attainment. From that day on, man became an individual and had to make all progress by himself, which is what we're doing. From that day, there was no compulsory revolution. He had to work in conscious union with life, and we still do that today. We then discussed spirit, which is defined as life or intelligence conceived of entirely apart from physical embodiment. It is vital essence, force, energy, as distinct from matter, which is what our bodies are. Probably the definition of God as spirit is more easily understood and more readily accepted. It's a term that I use a lot. I'm sure the rest of you do. From that definition, I just asked the question, if spirit is vital essence, force, and energy as distinct from matter, what does fellowship of spirit mean? Think about that today. To me, we are not just matter or physical bodies, but we are vital force. We are essence. We are energy, which is God in this building in each and every one of us. The next topic I talked about was soul. We consider soul in the sense of a universal soul, or medium through which God or Spirit operates. It's the third person of the Christian Trinity. The soul is immaterial, as we think of matter, but it is the substance of spirit. Those were quick definitions of the talks that I gave, and I will go back and present a deeper understanding of them later in the series. But for the time being, let's go to the last one, which is called body. But before I talk about body, since this is the beginning of Lent, let me share some ideas with you about fasting. They come from Pope Francis, the first set. I fast from hurting words, and I say kind words. I fast from sadness and filled with gratitude. I fast from anger and be filled with patience. I fast from pessimism and be filled with hope. I fast from worries and I have trust in God. I fast from complaints and contemplate simplicity. I fast from pressures and be prayerful. I fast from bitterness and I fill my heart with hope. I fast from selfishness and I have compassion for others. I fast from grudges and I be reconciled. And I fast from words, so I can be silent and listen. And to add to those, I want to add unities, fasting and feasting information. From Unity, which is the other big top name New Thought religion that we have. I fast from doubt, I feast on faith. I fast from fear and I feast on courage. I fast from insecurity and I feast on feeling confident. I fast from distraction and I feast on being fully present. I fast from holiness and I feast on connection. I fast from hiding behind a mask and I feast on being my authentic self. I fast from overacting and I feast on responding thoughtfully. I fast from competition and I feast on cooperation. I fast from apathy and I feast on enthusiasm. I fast from feeling stuck and I feast on moving forward. I fast from limitation and I feast on freedom. I fast from being rigid and I feast on resilience. I fast from being stressed and I feast on security and peace. I fast from chaos and I feast on order. I fast from confusion and I feast on clarity. I fast from resistance and I feast on acceptance. And I fast from false starts and I feast on determination. I fast from overindulgence and I feast on self-care. And I fast from fear of scarcity and I fast on the assurance of abundance. And lastly, I fast from self-pity and I feast on renewal of my heart. So those are very powerful statements to take in. So now let's get connected to the next series of what I was talking about, which is called the body, that which changes. The universe has been called the great trinity or triune, unity of spirit, soul, and body, the body being the result. Remember the map that I showed you before, where we have God, the law, creation, and finally matter and the body. Therefore, the effect is the objectification of spirit. Soul is the immaterial, plastic, and receptive medium. It is primordial, manifest form. It is what God works through. Body is the result of spirit working through that soul, or through law. The entire manifestation of spirit, both visible and invisible, is the body of God within us. As I said earlier, there's only one body of the universe. One body in this whole universe, and included with that is all the lesser bodies, that all of us and the planets and everything. Body means the entire manifestation of spirit on all planes. In the Bible, Jesus said, "In my Father's house are many mansions," where God is at. We do not, of course, see all those mansions. Science has revealed to us that many of them exist, which we do not see, and revelation has shown that the universe is infinite, for we know in part, and we prophesy in part. The word body, as used in New Thought, Science of Mind, means all objective manifestations of the invisible principle of life, meaning God as life and love and how it expresses through the physical body. God is here within us as we are in God's body. The body is distinguished from the idea in that the body is seen, while the idea of the body is invisible. The physical universe is the body of God, which is that universal principle of life. Our physical being that we are in is the body of the unseen man. For example, behind the objective form of the rose is first of all the idea that projects the rose. Body has the same idea, but it's never always an effect, never a cause. Body expresses intelligence. It's apparent intelligence led by the consciousness which permeates it. For as I've said before, our body is the body of communication. It is continually communicating out to us how we feel, what we think, what's going on in our lives, and especially how connected we are or disconnected from God. We would not say that consciousness is in the body, but rather the body is in consciousness. We have consciousness, how we think about things. So does everything that's been created by God, down to a rock, has consciousness. So do our bodies. If one is unconscious, he has neither pain nor fear. Pain and fear are in consciousness, but consciousness so completely envelops the body that it appears to be intelligent. Perhaps the human body is an exact counterpart of an invisible body, which is non-material as we now understand matter. The physical body is evolved for the purpose of allowing consciousness to function on this plane. The body is here to allow the soul of God creating through the soul to manifest through this physical body on this plane. This body is necessary to the plane. We chose it in the beginning of our lives here. And since only through a physical body can we properly function here, that's what we have, this place of matter within. When the body is no longer a fit instrument, the soul deserts it and continues to function on another plane, which we call leaving the body. Death, whatever name you want to put on it. To say that the body is unreal is a mistake, because it is real. But it's just an effect, not an entire entity by itself. It's an effect of God's love through the soul. In no way would this contradict the reality of the body and the experience of pain and sickness, but it might help in understanding its experiences. We affirm that the body is not a thing of itself, but there is a body. The simplest way to think of it is to realize that it is the objective manifestation of God, of source and spirit, of deep consciousness. If we are to be happy and well, not only the body, but the mind and the emotions must also be peaceful and harmonious. When they don't work, that's when we get sick. Psychology has shown that the physical or subjective disturbances produce physical reactions in the body. Anytime we have an upset thought that we're dealing from the ego, anytime we have fear emotions, it produces physical reactions in the body. The mind is the body of creation, the emotions are the body of feelings, and they all affect the body, the physical body. If the body is to be permanently well, then the soul or subjective life must also be in poise, the mind peaceful and happy. That's our goal. It must be considered a general rule that when the soul is poised in true spiritual realization, then the body will also be normal and happy. That's the purpose of mental healing, whether it's approached from the psychological or the metaphysical angle. Psychology and metaphysics are but two aspects of the same thing. So we treat the body as a legitimate effect, the cause, our thoughts, our connection to God, controlled by our soul life. We have learned that spirit is the absolute being. There is nothing else besides God and spirit. It's the absolute being. It's the creator of all that has been and will be. It is the only thing in the universe which has self-knownness or its own volition or choice or will. The soul is the servant of the spirit, and it has no choice and no purpose other than to execute the purpose that's been given to it by God. The spirit of the universe cannot change because being all, there's nothing for it to change into. It already is all that it is. The soul of the universe must obey the will of the spirit. This is what constitutes the eternal activity of spirit within itself. It is the spirit of God going through the soul, pressing into form, creation eternally going on. How we create in our lives, through our thoughts, through our emotions. Such spirit must be manifest in order to be conscious. There must be a way in which it manifests, and there must be a manifestation. So that's what the body is for, beloveds. It's here as the manifestation, and the soul is the way that God gets into it and expresses the law by which it manifests. So we have God, the soul, spirit, oneness, operating through law which works through the physical body. That's why we have this body, and that's why we want to keep it in as good physical condition as we can, because it's here to allow God to express through it. So that's probably enough for this week. We'll do part 2 next week. Namaste.